I'm gonna tell you something that might shock you. The person that you really need to let go of is not your ex. You're probably here because letting go hurts or feels almost impossible. Maybe you've been told by friends or family that you need to get over a breakup. Maybe you're still obsessing a little bit over this person or this situation. You're up reading texts, looking for a sign of hope, wondering what they're doing, where they're at, who they are with. It's kind of exhausting, right? And today I'm going to share with you how I broke free from that paradigm, and you can as well. My name is Andrew, and the reason that I'm so passionate about this stuff is because about 3 years ago, I felt, after a breakup, completely disempowered, hopeless, stuck, obsessing over my ex, wondering what I had to do to get back together, what I had done wrong, feeling absolutely hopeless. And what I learned truly has changed not only the way I view relationships and that relationship, but has changed just about everything about me. Because as much as you might miss them or be frankly obsessed with them, your ex is not really the problem. The person that you really need to let go is you. But not in a bad way. No shame. We're going to talk about that. As painful of an experience as this might be, you can transform it into one of the most impactful, most meaningful things of your entire life. Because I have done the same thing, so I know it's possible. Starting from the top, about 3 years ago, I was working at a restaurant. I had initially gotten this job in an effort to save up money to travel and pursue my dream at the time of being a travel adventure photographer. I took most of those photos, if you're curious. But point being, at the time, I thought, I'm gonna work at this restaurant, I'll save up some money for a couple years, and then I can go travel, go work on my portfolio, develop my photography career, right? I had been working at this restaurant for coming up on 4 years. Some of these years were lockdown years. The pandemic happened. Travel has shut down opportunities for me to go out into the world, seemingly, from my perspective at the time, had shrunk quite dramatically. This also gave me a slight excuse internally because here's the truth. I was deeply insecure about my photography. I was deeply afraid that I couldn't do it, about putting myself out there, asking for work. And so actually, this lockdown gave me a sort of an excuse to settle a little bit in life. This is why relationships can be so uplifting and why breakups can be so devastating. Because when this relationship came into my life, I had come into a bit of a rut in my life. And the perspective shift that was offered to me when I connected with this girl changed the way I saw the world. You have me, at the time, rather insecure, kind of funny, nerdy dude working at the restaurant, and from my perspective, beautiful, strong, independent woman who I never thought would be interested in somebody like me. My self-image at the time being quite negative. And she worked at an airport. She had flight benefits. She could travel almost all over the world for free quite often. And for the lonely, insecure, would-be travel photographer, this strong, independent, very attractive woman who worked at an airport and who was interested in me, everything I had been afraid of in life up till then was temporarily lifted by this relationship. How am I going to travel? Who am I going to go with? What if I can't do it? Well, I'll go with her. It'll be great, right? Okay. Fast forward 6 months. Our relationship falls apart. Only 6 months, mind you. If you've ever wondered, Andrew, how long was this relationship that traumatized you so much to get you into this stuff? Yeah, it was only 6 months long, maybe 7. I, in that short period of time, had fallen so head over heels for this girl, or so I told myself. In truth, what I was beyond addicted to was the feeling of openness and possibility that this relationship had offered me. It felt to me like a lifeline, and I'm sure on some level it felt like your relationship was a lifeline as well. There was an opening of possibility, a feeling of maybe security, of being seen, being accepted, being yourself even, being recognized and not judged. These are beautiful things that relationships can create a safe space where we feel the possibility for us to relax a little bit, to open and connect, right? But the key, the subtle difference, is in understanding that the permission is what came from the person, not the opening. The openness, that connectivity with life, is not because of the other person. It's because your inner conditioning says, if somebody comes and chooses you, who looks a certain way, talks a certain way, acts a certain way, then you get to open and connect with them. But otherwise, you need to put up your walls and protect yourself. And so what we do is we go through our lives with our walls up, protecting ourselves, cutting ourselves off, as I had, right? Giving up on my dreams, afraid to fail, afraid of so many things, so much insecurity, so much stuckness. This person comes along and opens up my lens of possibility. Now I have identified possibility in my life with this girl. You can also see what a tremendous burden that is to project onto another person. Because it was never her job to make me whole. Not at all. Just as it wasn't my job, which I thought it was at the time, to make her whole. So when the relationship ended quite suddenly, 6-7 months on, all of a sudden there was a collapsing of possibility. Everything went back to the way it was before. Or so it would seem. I felt as if I had been in a personal prison for a lot of my life, and somebody had come and let me out. Maybe I got the opportunity to go on work release or something, and I'm out of my personal prison for 6 months, and then the message comes through that your parole has been denied, back to solitary confinement with you. And I felt deeply in my soul as if I was dying. When that separation occurred, for me there was existential terror, not about the relationship. I had been using the relationship as a drug, as a crutch. And all of the obsession I had, all of the fear, all of the pain, all of the... a small amount of that is very normal. We should give ourselves permission to grieve, to be in pain, to mourn that passing of the relationship that was so important to us, right? That's all fine. But in my obsession, in my desperation, I could not be there for myself. I was blaming myself. Look at what you did wrong. You screwed it up again. You messed it up. You really are unlovable. It hurt so much that I was so desperate to get my crutch back, to get my drug back, to say, just put me back under. And when I said at the very beginning that firstly, if you let go, you will be okay. And secondly, that what you truly are holding on to is not the other person, but it's your idea of yourself. What you need to let go is yourself. Let me explain that, right? I never had this girl. I could not possess this girl. She was not something that I can stock up on a shelf, right? When I let go, what am I truly letting go? Well, she's gone. And that's where I say a relationship can feel like work release. It can feel like you're getting out of prison early. And then a breakup can feel like you have been condemned to life in prison, back to the walled off, closed off, not free to express, not free to be seen, not going to be loved situation. And the key is in the distinction between the person offering the opportunity for us to open up and them being the thing that caused us to open up. So in my case, and in your case, the relationship might have been a catalyst for us to step into that space. It gave us permission to be ourselves, to feel seen, to feel accepted enough to open up to somebody. We normally reject ourselves and don't let ourselves do that. Certain conditions are met, we feel like, oh, with this person, I can open up. They accept me, now I can be myself. When that goes away, we feel tremendous pain. I felt like my life was over. I felt completely shattered, completely heartbroken. And the one remaining rational part of my mind said, Andrew, that relationship was only 6 months long. So it really doesn't make a lot of sense for you to feel this bad, for it to hurt this much. Not that she wasn't a lovely person, not that you didn't value that connection, but just on the whole of it, at the time I was 25, 26, a quarter of a century, and this last 6 months are going to define your life. That doesn't make very much sense. And it didn't make any sense because the pain I felt really was not from the relationship. It was from the terror, from the view I held of myself the whole frickin' time. The insecurity, not wanting to pursue photography, being afraid of what people thought. All of those things had been there the whole time, and I had been using this relationship as a crutch. I was so blinded by this a drug addiction, basically, to this person who was mind-numbing me. By no fault of her own, through my own conditioning, I felt like she was the source of my freedom. And so for me, the revelation of the true prison came in the face of that breakup. I saw that the breakup, as lovely as that relationship was, had almost nothing to do with the level of pain I was feeling. What I was feeling was returning to prison, the inner prison that I had been in the whole time. It was the absence of the drug I had been using to distract myself. And what I had to do next was go back and face myself. And for the first time, I saw clearly how much I had disempowered myself for my whole life. I had been a people pleaser, I'd been conflict avoidant, I'd been overly apologetic. I was afraid to take up space. I was afraid to be seen. I was afraid to give myself permission to show up, to be myself, and to be okay with it. I had a very, very hard time with that. And this relationship had temporarily offered me a self-esteem band-aid to say, hey, you get some bonus self-esteem points. And that going away left me feeling isolated, alone, and devastated at the thought of returning to prison. And that is what you need to let go. It doesn't have anything to do with the other person. Maybe their cooking was nice, maybe they were a good cuddler, but really, it has to do with our deep-seated insecurities about ourselves. How will I cope? What if I can't do it? What's going to happen to me? Me. It's not about letting go of them, it's about letting go of me. Crucially, it's about letting go of who you think you are and the limitations that puts on your life. The life that you thought you had is over. And that's the pain. That's the mourning. That's the grieving. That's the death, is that part of you has died, but it was never real. It was never true. It was an idea. It was a projection. And what we really want back is that drug. We said, oh my gosh, I felt like this. I need that back. I want my drug back. I want my drug back. Then I'll be fine, please. That's why we jump so quickly into new relationships, or people go binge drinking, or they work as much as possible following a breakup. Anything that will distract me from having to deal with myself. As long as you're holding on, there's no space for new things to come in. We're holding on to dead, disempowering internal narratives. I believe I'm unworthy, so I need this person. They gave me my worth. They made me connect. I believe I can't take care of myself. I believe, I'm afraid that I financially might be unstable now. I'm not saying this will be easy. Not at all. But I'm saying it will be okay. And I'm saying facing those fears that have been pulling your strings the whole time is the thing that will empower you. Because another relationship, getting your ex back, covering it up with another band-aid isn't gonna do shit. Letting go is not about what you do. It's not about adding something to your life. It's about taking something away so that there's space for new things to blossom. And what needs to be taken away is that negative, fear-based terror, that viewpoint of insecurity, of insignificance, of what's going to happen to me. And taking that away requires insight. And truly seeing this and embracing this perspective has changed a lot of things in my life. For one thing, I make YouTube videos now, but I traveled. Some of these pictures are from trips I took after that breakup. I went internationally traveling by myself for the first time, something I had previously been terrified to do, but I realized that the girl had been an excuse, that the relationship had been an excuse, and that feeling of disempowerment was all internal. I was afraid of constricting back to who I thought I was, but I never really was that limited. I was afraid. I was seeing life through a small lens. Then something came along and broadened my perspective, and my terror was about the lens shrinking back down. And that does not have to happen. In fact, you can use this experience as a catalyst to bust it open even further, which can be extremely painful. Let me give you that proviso. But it is so worth it. I know that relationship is the best thing that ever happened to me. And it has nothing to do with the relationship. It has to do with the understanding it gave me. If this seems like something you're interested in, you want to explore in your own life, I do offer one-on-one coaching. In fact, I had 2 or 3 people I talked to just this week who were working sort of through this same dynamic where part of them felt stuck and they really wanted this person, this situation back, and then they realized it was actually just covering something up. And in that insight, there was a lot of freedom. So that's actually part of why I made this video. If you're interested in reaching out about coaching opportunities, there's a link in the description. What is it costing you in this relationship, in this breaking up, in this space of uncertainty or feeling of being trapped? What is it costing you to consistently doubt yourself, to not believe in yourself, to think you are unworthy or unlovable, or even in the way you're relating to life? What is it costing you to be a people pleaser, to be a nice person? Nice in the context of, you probably know what I mean, sort of manipulative, not kind. Kindness is when it's for you. Niceness is when I care desperately what you think, so I'm going to try to give you what you want all of the time so that you like me. That's what I mean by nice. When you do that, when you avoid conflict, not out of kindness, but out of fear. Ooh, if I stand up for myself, they won't like me. That's not good. That is self-abandonment, self-rejection. What does that cost you? For me, it was a lot. And the question that I would also ask is, what possibility becomes available to you on the other side of that? Where are you hiding? Where are you staying small in life? The world needs you to show up. The world needs people who are real, who are wholehearted and genuine and authentic and awake, and not sleepwalking, miserable people trying to give themselves crutches to get through life because they fear their own thoughts, their own inner narrative. That's all I've been trying to fight. Throughout that whole relationship, I was fighting with words in my own head, trying to accumulate a certain balance of external evidence. Oh, I don't have a lot of money, I don't have a lot of success yet, so I must not be worth very much. This very attractive woman, she likes me, oh, I'm up here. Oh, she doesn't like me anymore, I'm back down here. It was all in my own head, was the entire emotional roller coaster. And letting go is a process of insight, in seeing the insanity of basing your value on the fact that somebody was here and now they're there. The true action of letting go isn't really action at all. It is seeing, and it's not something you add, it is something you take away. So as you go forth through the next week or so of your life, ask yourself, where am I hiding? Where am I staying small? Where am I disempowering? And when it comes to this breakup, this situation which I don't want to let go of, the situation's already gone. What ideas are keeping me stuck? What ideas are telling me I will never be able to cope with this? I can't be safe on the other side. And ask yourself this: can I be with this? Can I sit with this? Can I be okay with this? Allow yourself to shift into a bigger perspective, because you are a bigger person. You are a powerful being with incredible potential, and we look at life through a very, very limited, narrow perspective, often formed in our childhood. And if you're curious about that, incidentally, I have a video on inner child healing right here where we talk more specifically about where these sort of prisons in our minds come from in the first place. That has helped a lot of people, and I think you'll find that enjoyable. Aside from that, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.